Cowboys fans? Your boy Foots here as always. And, well, not only Cowboys fans, but draft community fans. It's your boy Foots here as always. Thank you all for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Now, I wanted to get right into this video because I got a lot to talk about, but I don't want to make this a super long video. Let's talk about the Senior Bowl, 5 winners, and kind of what this Senior Bowl means this year, and how these kids and these prospects could possibly help the Cowboys, how they can help your team, and some guys that really just flashed on film for me, flashed in the drill work. And you want to keep in mind when you're watching this drill work, okay? So for the receivers, it's always advantage receiver and quarterback when they're doing one-on-ones because there's no pass rush. The play call, you don't have that opportunity, that real-time opportunity for guys to be not on the same page. So you always want to keep that in mind when you're watching like the DB one-on-ones and the receiver one-on-ones. And then you have, one-on-ones with the O lineman, and then you have D-line one-on-ones. And sometimes those can be jaded as well, depending on the scheme. And a lot of times O linemen are just catching, they're not run blocking. So keep all of that in mind. Same with the linebackers, guarding a tight end, or the safeties guarding a tight end. You don't really know what's being asked. It's just drill work more or less to see, like, change direction. But sometimes it can be catered to the offensive player. And in the case of the D lineman, it can be catered to them because a play call isn't really tagging what you're asking them to do. Okay, I know that was a long-winded answer. Also, I want to give a shout-out. They'll probably never hear this, but shout-out to ESPNU because NFL Network's coverage sucked. It did. So ESPNU did a great job with their coverage. But let's talk about 5 Senior Bowl standouts. I got the list on the screen, guys. Tre Brown, Oklahoma DB. Let's get to him. I got my notes written down. I took notes throughout all the practices. I forget if he was on the American team, national, whatever. But he's just a good football player. And I want teams to make sure, especially a team like the Cowboys, make sure that I just pray with no combine and no true combine and no, you don't know how you're going to be able to really get in touch with these guys. And yes, you have film, but with Tre Brown, trust it. You saw it against good competition. The kid can play. You see some of the video on the screen. He can play. He stays square. He stays low when he's coming out of his back pedal. He's not fooled. He doesn't take a lot of receivers will give you eye candy with the way they're trying to set you up, coming in and out of breaks. He doesn't take any of that. He stays square and he plays through the football. Yes, his size is an issue. I don't care, especially for my team. I don't want the Cowboys to do what they've done in so many years, where it's like you had a good player on the board, but because of a size issue, i.e. a Buda Baker, other players, the list goes on and on. You guys know I'm a safety guy who've been with the channel. You guys know how much I want a safety, and I want a good safety. But you can't let the side. Can he play football? Tre Brown can play football. I thought that he won this week. Richie Grant. A lot of people come on over because Foots was I'm not gonna say I started the Richie Grant train, but Sky reminded me we did a safety list. And I was very high on Grant. The only issue I had was how they asked him to play at UCF. It was weird. Like, they just basically just said, you come downhill, you fill. But when you looked at his movement, you saw a player that can move really well. And you see it this week. I'll tell you what. He had a few reps. I think I'll show it on the screen. He had a few reps where he was like, guarding a tight end. And he was able to stay square. He almost looked like a corner. Like, that's what you want to see. You want to see that hip flex. You want to see that movement. You want to see that square ability so he's not just a safety. Like, he's not just a thumper. He can go and he can fly downhill. He can fill. You get what I'm saying to you? So, I thought Richie Grant did well. And I thought they didn't do my guy Hamza. I don't think Hamza Nasruddin should have did any drills this week because you could tell he was hurt. He was kind of compromised, and I thought that he can play. I think that he can play, but, this was like a great job interview for some guys. Richie Grant, he killed it. Quinn Meinerz, you guys don't need any film. I don't know, and so let me talk about this real quick. Richie Grant and Tre Brown, they need to be on the Cowboys board. They can help this team. Grant, I'm gonna tell you now, with the Senior Bowl that he put on, he's a second-round player. Just because scouts are going to go crazy because they saw him do it against other NFL prospects, and teams are going to say, I could turn this guy into something that I like. Joe Rod he made a good point that could he be this year's Darnell Savage? It just flies up draft boards. It happens. It happens, especially with there being no combine. He doesn't have to get a real time 40 on him. He can say, I put out some good stuff. I'm ready to go. You see what I'm saying? So let's talk about Quinn Meinerz, Wisconsin Whitewater. He just was phenomenal, dog. Like, you want your lineman to play like that. Just mean. Just nasty. Just a coke machine. That's how you play line. That's how you guard, center. You know, that's, you know, his feet choppy. He will get after you. A lot of linemen don't finish blocks. You know, they kind of get washed, or it's kind of just a wash. It's a stalemate. You saw him finishing blocks. I thought he played really well for all these practices. Let's talk about Dwayne Eskridge, receiver, Western Michigan. Now, he's older. He's 24. Some of these guys, you see their film and you see it against lesser competition. You're like, man, can he really play? He can really play. His, you know, at the top of the route is scary with him. Like, his explosion, his ability to set defenders up, kind of that eye candy I was talking about earlier when, you know, some DBs, they'll just lose technique because they panic. He will get you in that panic mode because of how quick he really, really is. And no, Dallas doesn't need a receiver. But if you have a guy like this sitting around the third, sitting around the second, and you have those 2 third-round picks, and you don't know what's going to happen with Michael Gallup, it's worth having a conversation. Do you want to have a great offense that can compete year in and year out with injuries, with certain things that happens? It's worth having a conversation because this dude can get open. That's what I wrote on here. I don't know if you got. He can get open at the top of the route. He can separate. You need guys that can find green grass and can help your quarterback and get open. Whoever your quarterback is, if it's Andy Dalton and he's stinking out there, you need somebody who can separate. You get what I'm saying? Get Dak some weapons. Well, let me not say that because this defense needs a lot of help. But you listen. You don't window dress your board. Stack these guys as is, and if he's sitting there, you draft him. And then there's a sneaky one, Quincy Rochet. Okay, so everybody will talk about his teammate who nobody likes, but I really like Quincy Rochet from Miami. I thought he did some good things in pass as a pass rusher, but then I like the way that he was able to play in run support. Like, I know people are going crazy about Gregory Rousseau, but this guy wasn't bad. Long arms. I like the way he squeezed at the point. Like, playing defensive end in this scheme, you got to be able to be stout, especially as a lefty end and your run fits. And I think that he could do that very, very well. So this is my list, guys. Tre Brown, Richie Grant, Quinn Meinerz, Dwayne Eskridge, Quincy Rochet. That Rochet name is a different one for you guys. I know people have their winners, but these are my winners. I'll be back on Sunday. I'm going to do a recap of the actual game with Sky Still. But to be honest, the practices are what scouts and teams and general managers are really looking for. And I thought, you know, with there being no combine, you better be on your grind. Like, this year, you're going to find out who can really draft because no combine, none of these meetings where you're going to be, you got to dig. You gonna have to find out. You're going to have to try to sneak into some of these training workouts. Teams going to have to get creative now. You better get creative. It's your boy Foots. Hey.